The film that you're about to watch began as a single moment about 20-something years ago, and that was watching a copy of For Your Height Only on VHS. And from that moment, I decided that I needed to find out the story.
Just in case you didn't know, Weng Weng is Agent 00, and he's back with more adventure in For Your Height Only.
Where's Baldo? Talk! Talk! You want? I should pull the trigger? Talk!
Oh, that's smart.
You dirty rat! Talk!
Okay, I'll tell you.
Face it, there is no one as compelling or as big in the world of Secret Service agents as 00, with always a trick up his sleeve. Nobody does it more conventionally or unconventionally as Agent 00. Mark it well. This is Agent 00, and he will stop at nothing to get his man in. For Your Height Only.
I was hooked by the image of a perfectly miniature super spy, karate expert and ladies' man. And from that single moment, cinema would never be the same ever again. I wanted to know Weng Weng's story, his real name for starters. At just 2 foot 9 inches tall, he's listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the shortest ever lead actor in a motion picture. And that's as far as the official story went. It seemed like a cone of silence had well and truly fallen over the entire Weng Weng affair. Before the internet, there was no information about Weng Weng at hand. Those few facts that began to filter online were simply made up. To this day, urban legends continue to swirl around his bowl cut. He's believed to have been a stand-up comic, dental student, customs officer, real-life secret agent, and karaoke recording star.
Everybody, hey, look, hey. I can't believe what happened. It's a boy. Hey. What happened? I can't believe it. Where did he come from? Whoa, pretty boy. Yeah. Aren't you a pretty boy? Handsome, too. Oh, yes. Yes.
Was he possibly a national disgrace? Was he willfully erased from the official records of Filipino cinema? Or was he small enough to have slipped between the cracks of film history without anyone ever asking his story? I had a strong feeling the only way I would ever learn the truth about Weng Weng was to go to the Philippines with a big shovel and start digging through the rubble of 30 plus years of forgotten pop culture. little knowing I was embarking on a 7-year quest for a 2'9" Holy Grail.
I've actually screened the Wang Wang Agent 00 films up and down Australia for the last 10 years.
So what's a film scholar talking about Wang Wang? It didn't make sense. He was in the university. So I invited him over. He just, arrived one day.
I'm trying to find out where he came from, what he did, and what happened to him.
It seems unusual, but when you meet the guy, then you realize only a wild man can have this kind of obsession. And he breathes, lives, on B-movies and on this kind of genre, and he believes in it.
Now you get a bullet in your belly, Lola. This is it, kid.
Oh, my little head.
I've been obsessed with movies my entire life. The stranger and more eccentric, the better. For almost 20 years, I owned and operated Australia's largest cult video store. And over the years of seeing thousands of bizarre cinematic jewels, I always came back to one film and one little actor.
You take your hands off her.
I'll show you, you sawed-off half-pint.
Meanwhile, the international cult of Wang Wang spread via the internet. Wang portraits started to appear on blogs and websites. Canadian rap artist The Chuds posted the Wang Wang rap.
He shoots and look crooks get shook and you can feel your heart stop. The kind of man that can chill you right through to your soul. He shouts pull over to the side of the road. I'm in the pull.
Wang Wang converts Will Ferrell, Kanye West, and John Mayer made the clip go viral. And still, no one knew Wang's real name.
I'm assuming that a lot of people in the Philippines are embarrassed to say Wang Wang is one of your most famous film exports. Would I be right in saying that?
Around 70 faces peered out of the darkened cinema at me as I launched into my Wang Wang spiel. So, where did he come from? And what happened to him? No one had a clue. Most had never even heard of him. Even in the land of Wang Wang, the enigma was stronger than ever.
He's as slippery as an eel. How the devil do you hold on to an eel? You gotta find a plan that works.
Maybe during that time we were not conscious of the metaphorical reading of Wang Wang's short-lived global success. It's not like Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's not like Clint Eastwood at the time. He's not Jackie Chan. It's not a very comfortable image. And so a lot of people at the time, I guess, were not accepting. There was some discomfort, and it takes many years to have an alternative reading of his fame and subsequent downfall, which is also a cautionary tale in itself.
I don't like to watch these films. I find it personally unsettling because to me Wang Wang is a handicapped person that was put in front of audiences because of that very handicap.
Go, quickly.
What about you?
Don't worry. I'll see you later at the discotheque.
I think the Wang Wang films have something pre-modern to them. In the medieval times in Europe, for example, the king or the duke, they would often have a court jester, and often the court jester would be a dwarf, a midget, or somebody who was otherwise handicapped, which already made him funny to people of that time. This has disappeared in the West. It's not politically correct anymore to show people like that or put them in the foreground or use them for comical effect. And I think apparently at this time, around 1980 in the Philippines, that was still possible. I think in the West, you couldn't have made these films. That's, for example, why Todd Browning's Freaks was forgotten for such a long time. Because he did something that was unacceptable in the West, and here you could get away with it.
Let them laugh. They're swine.
That, in turn, I think, is again something very Filipino, because there is this fascination with the macabre, the uncanny, the slightly distasteful here.
We didn't lie to you, folks. We told you we had living, breathing monstrosities.
Right across the street, I used to have this carnival before Christmas, and there they had, everything. They had the woman who ate raw flesh. They had mermaid lying there in the bathtub. You had to pay 20 pesos in order to get in.
You are about to witness the most amazing, the most astounding living monstrosity of all time.
To stare at something like that. It was an attraction for very low-class people, for very poor people, but that's something that's very much in the culture here. I guess that goes back to maybe even pre-colonial times. That's part of what makes these films unique. Then again, I feel uncomfortable watching that. It's, it's not in our culture anymore. I don't know. There's something I don't get nostalgic about, I don't think. I wish they would bring this kind of filmmaking back.
The 1976 Apocalypse Now was filming here. After the success of Apocalypse Now, a lot of other groups started coming in, as well as the Italians, Antonio Margheriti, the French, the Japanese, as well as the local producers who started jumping on the bandwagon.
How did that midget find out about our operation? That little wine could put us out of business.
Hey, it's cheap in the Philippines to shoot. They can wind up a shoot in like 15 days, because the workers don't complain. They work 24-hour days. They eat dog food, hey, that's paradise. And that's exactly the lure of the country as a film destination.
In the late 70s and the early 80s, there was a huge industry going on. Over 300 films produced every year in the country. So we were able to do just about anything that we wanted to do. Wild West would really be an understatement. I mean, there was places where we would come in with a movie crew and you just took over the whole town.
Movies would open every week, maybe 10. Movies were the cheapest form of entertainment. When I was in that era, I would watch 3 films a week. It was the thing to do, and it's air-conditioned.
Economy was good. People could pay in the movie houses. There was no piracy at that time. We didn't have DVDs. People were paying. The Filipino movie, it was a culture. It was a Filipino identity.
We are really a race of movie buffs. The Philippines has been greatly influenced by Hollywood. So, of course, we naturally follow the trends in Hollywood. Maybe that's the reason, the most valid reason why we produce the most of James Bond movies.
60s, 70s, 80s, the Pinoy action movie star was king. The 1960s really was the coming of age of the Pinoy action film. That was the decade in which Fernando Poe Jr. really blossomed and built his career into legendary status. Alongside him, people like Jess Lapid, and there was Joseph Estrada, who later on became president of the Philippines.
Don't forget Tony Ferrer, Agent
Oh,
Falcon.
yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there. The main exponent of this secret agent genre was Tony Ferrer. Not exactly spoof, they were actually very serious imitations of the James Bond genre films. So you could see a progression. You could see that the DNA has been passed on from Sean Connery to Tony Vetter and all the way to this diminutive action star Wang Wang. You know?
We got a whole bunch of new gadgets to help you on the case. Your pen. Looks ordinary, and yet it's specially built. Another weapon. It won't write words, but you can't have everything. I like the way you pay attention.
It was a time when there's a lot of spoofs, spin-offs. We would do our own versions of that. The Pinoy spaghetti western, the Pinoy horror movie. We have the local Dracula, we have the local zombie, we have the local Sophia Loren. So from that era came about this straight-to-video, low-budget, produced by fly-by-night producers like Liliu Productions.
Brace yourselves for nerve-wracking feats as Liliu Films International proudly presents the acclaimed international star of the Hollywood, Cannes, and Manila Film Festivals, Wang Wang. This time, he's the unforgettable Impossible Kid.
A sequel to For Your Height Only eventually surfaced. As the Impossible Kid, Agent 00 was now working for the Manila branch of Interpol. He is sent in pursuit of Mr. X, an arch-villain with a white sock on his head, who's holding the Philippines to ransom.
Tomorrow, 1 billion pesos, or each day, one of you will die. This message will self-destruct.
The Impossible Kid features bigger and more outrageous stunts, even more gadgets at his disposal, and more waves of goons mown down by Wang Wang's AK-47. So who were the people behind Liliu Productions? The masterminds behind the company appeared to be a family team: Peter Caballas, the mysterious Twinkle, and Akora Caballas, presumably Peter's wife. I went to the Mole Fund Film Museum in Quezon City, but couldn't find a single mention of Wang Wang. Then, completely by chance, I stumbled upon an unassuming guy in the Mole Fund parking lot. It turns out he was one of the Philippines' busiest editors, with over 400 credits to his name.
You know the reason I came to Manila is the search for Wang Wang.
Wang Wang
Yeah.
is already dead.
That's unfortunately what I thought I would find when I came to Manila.
I was the one who edited all of Wang Wang's film.
No!
Yeah, James
No!
Bond, yeah.
Get out of town!
Yeah, everything.
Oh.
Directed by Eddie Nicar.
Just as he said, there's Boy Viñarao's name in the Impossible Kid's credits.
That's inspired you to make a docu
It inspired me to fly to Manila to find out the real Wang Wang story.
because of that film.
Because of that one film.
I remember that little guy is very courageous, meaning very brave. And his stunts, no double, because how can you get a little man? You know? He's doing all his stunts alone. It's phenomenal being an actor with the size. He can talk also.
What was his real voice like? Because all we ever heard was the dubbed voice.
Please, you make a single mistake, and you'll be dead.
Thanks for your concern.
You're such a little guy, though. Very petite, like a potato.
Yeah, let's go.
Very tiny voice, but he can, very normal. He can speak. He's good in speaking Tagalog.
Do you know much about his origins, where Wang Wang came from?
Para bang he was adopted by Pete Caballas. That's where he started as an actor. Actually, Wang Wang lived at Pete's house.
So when you say he was adopted by him, he was...
Yeah. And he was also pampered. Like a prince, like an actor actually, because even though, superstar here also. And some of his local films earned money during that time.
How many Wing Wing films were there?
I think more than 6.
No.
Yes.
I only know of 2. Maybe the third one,
I think 6.
the
More
Dolphy
than
film.
6. Or around 10 maybe. Including those films that he was supporting actor. He was the lead actor. Around 6 films. It can be justified if you can talk to Eddie. He knows everything.
Interpol. Thank you.
Welcome to the archives, Roy. Go ahead, please. I'm camera
A visit to the film archives of TV station ABS-CBN unearthed a treasure trove of Filipino films I never imagined existing. In its vaults lie one of the few collections of surviving Philippine cinema. It's believed over 80% of the Philippine cinema has turned into vinegar or landfill or otherwise vanished forever. The first title I looked up was the suspected Weng Weng Western, De Best in the West. There was the Philippines' king of comedy, Rodolfo Quezon, known to generations of adoring fans as Dolphy. Beside him was Lito Lapid, nephew of 60s cowboy superstar Jess Lapid Sr. And there was Weng Weng.
Best in the West,
Featuring a very small poster. Weng Weng.
yeah, Weng Weng. I love that guy. A friend of mine brought him to him. He said, this is Weng Weng. Okay, I'll try to think of a place to put him in.
And was that friend Pete Caballes?
Yeah, Caballes, Pete, yeah. You know Pete?
No.
I don't know where they are now. I haven't seen Pete and Cora for a long, long time.
De Best in the West turns out to be an elaborate 2-hour spoof of Filipino westerns. Dolphy arrives in a town just as the sheriff is shot and accidentally guns down the assassin, and is proclaimed hero and sheriff all in one swift move. The reluctant hero sets out to clean up the town and ropes in the 2'9" Bronson to be his deputy. Weng Weng has little to do other than provide a bizarre novelty backdrop, wear garish cowboy outfits, and gesture excitedly during the fight scenes.
In my production, that is the second. But the first one was The Quick Brown Fox. I am playing a role of an agent, and Weng Weng is my sidekick. He lives with me, but he was killed by the goons, crucified in my room. He clicked in that movie because he knows martial arts and he can jump very fast. Everybody's getting Weng Weng after this Quick Brown Fox and the rest. They said it's good, lucky, you know. They say Weng Weng is lucky to be in a movie.
Personally, in my experience to Weng Weng, I can feel Weng Weng is extraordinary people. Why? Because he has a touches of lucky guy. When I directed him, the luck comes through, forced to me. God's will. I'm a Catholic, but still believe that Weng Weng is a special guy that comes to me and gave me a bigger break, a bigger luck, and even a bigger person. Cora Caballes, my producers, made Weng Weng as an actor in my film, Sila sa Bawat Bangketa. That's the first time Weng Weng appeared in a film.
From 1976, Them on Every Sidewalk, starring Rez Cortez, was rushed in and out of cinemas before vanishing into complete obscurity.
It's a movie that you can forget. No significant experience with that movie, only the novelty of working with Weng Weng. The curiosity of, what's this Weng Weng? Is he a toy? Is he... And there I realize he's human, he's a person. And, he's a very sad person. He tried to smile, but you can see it in his eyes that he's very lonely. His connection with people is very superficial. But, we play like he wants to be teased with women. She likes women.
Weng Weng asked me, Direk, do we have a kissing scene? What? Okay. I made the scene when you have a kissing scene. You can look at the face of Weng Weng, shines. But eventually, I think he's already thinking, how can I do that? How can I do that? How can I do that?
He tried to connect, but he got limitations. Like, he cannot get in touch with his feelings. Because when you ask him, do you feel lonely? Yeah, I cried. His inner thing is something else. He himself cannot recognize those emotions. It's not a feeling that he's talking about. It's a factual thing that he can experience.
During that day, Ramon Zamora made The Man Called Chop Suey. So, Cora, this is my material. Chop Suey meets Big Time Papa. Cora told me, who is Big Time Papa? Weng Weng. My belief to that small kid to be a big star. Yes. Weng Weng is very happy. Direk, can I already make that film as one of the lead with famous Ramon Zamora? Yes. And this time you have plenty of leading ladies. Okay. This time, Ninang Cora Caballes gave me even higher film budget.
The producers are not giving him the compensation that he's supposed to get.
You can tell this.
Yeah.
Just from being on the set and watching things.
Yeah. But, the producers are taking care of him. But the problem is, he's the lead star. He's supposed to ride in a car. But you see him arrive on the set riding in the utility service. Maybe the production manager said, hey, pick up Weng Weng. Actually, I think Weng Weng is happy with that already. Maybe it's, for him it's a blessing. It's something higher than what he's having. But he deserves more. They're not filmmakers. They're businessmen. They continue producing because of Weng Weng. It's an opportunity for them to make money, spending less. They're the producer that believes that money you save is money you earn. On an extreme.
Don't move! Freeze!
Where is he?
I don't know.
Talk!
I don't know.
Talk, or you'll eat lead!
All right.
kayo. Here, it's already open. What do you want to see?
The Cabalias also brought Weng Weng to producer Bobby A. Suarez, who at the time had successfully exported his Cleopatra Wong series of kung fu spy movies.
Bobby A. Suarez presents Franco Guerrero in the most explosive action-packed motion picture of the year. The One-Armed Executioner.
You're thinking of doing something unbelievable. You don't laugh, huh? I think it's about Superman. Now you try to visualize it. Weng Weng as Superman.
Yeah, I went into Bobby's office and I saw this little guy, right on top of the table. And Bobby said, Cleo, we are going to shoot a movie with him. And he asked if I would like to carry him, to see how lightweight he was. And he was so little. We were like passing him around like as you would, with a baby.
He's a lovable guy, but not a funny guy. I respect him so much because like you and like me, he's a human being, a beautiful human being.
Compelled in his quest for vengeance, he drives himself to incredible feats to earn the right to take.
Bobby's hugely successful The One-Armed Executioner is a simple, brutal actioner, the Philippines' only and much belated entry in the amputee revenge cycle. Its star, Franco Guerrero, started in the film business around the same time he began martial arts. These days, Franco looks almost exactly as he did in the 70s. Youthful vigour, immaculate pompadour, and a mischievous twinkle in his eye.
There will never be another Weng Weng. He used to say that. And it's true, there's only one Weng Weng. He's a dwarf. No, he's not a dwarf. He's a small guy. He's a miniature. Midget is not even a midget. He's not a dwarf. He's a regular man, so happy that he's a miniature. That's one thing that's special about Weng. A very small miniature guy who can act, who is an actor. He's really an actor.
Franco told me the way to Eddie Nickard was through the National Bookstore in Quezon City. He said all of the out-of-worked actors and stunt guys sit around drinking coffee, swapping war stories, and waiting for their mobiles to ring. There was Roland Dantes, martial arts superstar and former Mr. Philippines, and his co-star in Arnis Sticks of Death, Rusty Santos. It was a veritable goon convention.
Weng Weng was really loved by people because of his honesty. Yes. He's always telling me, every time we're going to meet at the barber shop along the Escola, he'll say, hey, hello, how are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm so busy. I have so many girlfriends. I don't know how to cope with them.
How many girlfriends do you have?
Oh, about 5 of them. Oh, I'm so tired. I have no time for the other. He said that.
Oh, Weng Weng. He's a playboy.
Out of the corner of my eye, I spied a guy in a baseball cap escorted past security guards.
Rene. Hi, Rene.
Rene the Leg Man was a schedule master during the crazy days of Filipino cinema and knew where all the old boys lurked.
Andy Dixon. Good. Hi. Andrew. Jericho. Trying to track me down for 10 years.
This is my film is for your height only.
Yeah.
Make money.
Yeah.
Can pass the ball.
He used to tell stories, He told me, I know you're a karate guy. I can also do that. Can you fight me? No, I won't fight you.
Meron 25 na gun. 25.
25 pieces?
25.
Caliber?
Minsan dala yun. Loaded yun. O, linang puto, baka makalabit yan. Ano yung baril yan?
Pero kapag nakakalawala siya, ayun, pag may parang nakalawalang kalabaw, may inom. Ang babae. Yung babae talaga.
I'm trying to size up with his mentality at the time. I think his mentality is about age of about 8 or 9 years old. He will never lie. Everything that came out of his mouth, it is the truth, what he felt at the moment. And he brag about sexual exploit with girls. I believe him. But my problem is, he will never show you the girls.
He was living in a world of fantasy. It's true, but he believed what he was doing. You know?
Yeah.
You're a great person, you know.
You know what to say. Don't decide the way you use it.
Maybe. But are you a sexual animal?
I don't know.
You know, sex is like tequila. Take one sip and you're a goner.
Shall we get it on?
Yes, darling, bear your bard.
This is the Bahamas for my best Stuntman of the Year 1980. 1988. Stuntman of the Year, best Stuntman. 1988, Eddie Gard.
Eddie started as a stuntman in the early 60s as part of the celebrated SOS Daredevils. By the late 60s, he was a character actor, making a name for himself in films such as Impasse, opposite Burt Reynolds, who subsequently declared Filipino stuntmen the greatest he'd ever seen.
After that, my producer, Liliu, convinced me to direct a film. That was Wing Wing. Ambition ko na mag-direct noon, pero hindi sana kay Wing Wing pero malaking trabaho kasi kapag kay Wing Wing, kaya katinang kaputi lang, di bali na. It's very hard to direct a small guy that he did not know what I'm going to. It's very hard because he did not know how to speak English or to have to read a script. We can make a movie of Wing Wing, but we are going to practice first in the gym. Kapag pinag-ano ko ng karate, magaling naman siya mag-step. Acting, karate, fighting scene, everything. As like an stuntman.
How long did you have to train him?
A month, couple of months, I think. Medyo maganda naman dahil pag ito na bihisan o kaya naturuan, medyo gagandang nito dahil nakakaintindi naman siya eh. Kumbaga sa sumusunod siya, jump to the building, jump in the bridge. It's the cable of sometimes Wing Wing. This is the pad of Wing Wing. This is the pad. Like this back, that they cannot really pull in the ground. There's the cable for building to building, possible kid.
That is the cable.
Cable, yeah.
And this is the same one that Wang Wing walked across.
Right. Tago niya. Nagkawala yung mga koleksyon ko kasi. The name of Wing Wing is, I think, Ernesto. The family name I didn't know. Pero the first name is Ernesto.
Ernesto.
We have set ourselves a goal to attain in this place. Go with your best men. I want you to search all the houses in this place. You must find and bring me back this Mr. Wang alive.
Out of the blue, I received a text from Rene the Legman, telling me he'd found Wang Wang's only surviving relative, his brother Cecilio.
Kasi doon na magpunta yan, dami natutuwa dyan eh. O kahit saan. Kahit saan.
Yes, most special child.
Wala, natatay na tatay ko.
The mothers died already.
Oo, sa mother. Lahat na wala na sila lahat. Ako na lang natitira. Kasi meron kasi doon, talagang sa totoo lang,
Kasi maraming ang lumabas ng mga impostor. Di ba meron sabi, ito si Weng Weng, pinakikita pa sa TV noon. Pero kasi sinasabi ko siya na, kung yan, hindi ako naniniwala pagkat ako mismo kapatid. Hindi naman siya mahilig sa mga laro na ano. Basta ano na siya. Oo, kasi kadala nahihiya siya. Siya na pinakamaliit. Pero marunong naman siya. Kakaintindi. Kasi maliit lang siya magsalita talaga. Para siyang nahihiya.
Kailan siya kinana?
Pinanganak ko.
November.
Eh. Tignan mo kakagero ko.
September 7, 1957.
Ayan.
Weng Weng was born Ernesto to parents Felix and Rita de la Cruz, the youngest of 5 brothers, in Baclaran, a barangay of Parañaque, next to Pasay City.
Yung pinagpupunta siya, pinagliga sa Santo Niño, sa kalong-kalong ng Mother Perpetual Health, doon sa pinagligan. Yan ako. Email, ano yung Mother Perpetual Health, pero mo. Kaya tuwing Merkulis yan, nagpupunta sa Redemptorist yan. Kaya pong pabalik-balik yan doon. Hindi nga namin alam kung bakit, nalala namin buntis, hindi namin lumakit yan. Nagulat din siya, 9 months din. Nagulat nga kami, pati gano'n kaya akala namin kung ano lang Alam namin, yung dating 8 months, malalaki hindi, biglang maliit lang talaga Datla, din siya laki ng boto ng Pepsi.
Pepsi Cola.
Oo, Pepsi Cola.
The bottle.
Malaki. Maliit. Yung ginawa nga ng tatay ko, inilagay sa sapatos, yung kawalan sapatos, inilawan na na buwan yun. At pinaiinom pa nga yun sa gota. Gota yung drops. Yun lang yung ano niya. Kasi maliit ang bibig Kaya hindi ko pwede pasusuhin. Tapos inilawan siya ng 6 na buwan. Awan ng Diyos naman na buhay. Kung napapanood niya sa TV, ginagaya niya. Gusto niya
Actually niya yung mga karate.
Mga karate.
Like Kung Fu.
Yan. Kila Tony Perez, Nito Lapid. Yan ang mga gusto niya, mga actionista. Pero yung mga drama, ayaw na yan. Sa bakit nakikikasing kapitbahay namin, at meron sampayan yan. Doon siya sirko. Kaya nga nung nakita nga siya doon sa may palengke na may karatehan, doon natuwa naman yung may-ari nung nag-ano ng karate, doon siya tinuruan. Ito yung may-ari ng karate, natutuwa tayo niya. Doon nga, doon siya pumasok sa karate. Para baga siya, yung may mga ma-attractive lang siya. Para siya lang ang tingnan, kaya dumadaan ng customer nila, gano'n lang. Dahil tuloy-tuloy na yun, hanggang doon nga nakilala nga yan. Doon nga nakita ni Pit Kabili yan.
After Chop Suey meets Big Time Papa, the next movie of Weng Weng is Agent 00. Eddie Nicat gave justice to that film. As Weng Weng as a good stuntman.
Actually noon, parang bantulot pa nga ako dahil biro mo, baka ako hindi ko makaya, pero sabi niya ko, sige, kaya mo yan. So, ninangkuran, ako lang gumawa. Ako, sige, tingnan natin. Kaya napilitan ako na gawin yung movie na...
Weng Weng's debut as Agent 00 pairs him with stuntman turned actor Dante Verona and the Bruce Lee of the Philippines, Ramon Zamora, but was never released outside of the Philippines and remains currently missing in action.
Hindi ko gaano pamilyar yung umpisa ng yung unang pelikula eh. Kaya nung pangalawa ko na itong Fuller Height, pangatlo ko yung Wild Wild Wing.
At last I meet the famous Mr. Weng. Young and tiny, but very witty. Sharp and deadly as the samurai of Fu Manchu. Don't you worry, Mr. Weng. I will not kill you right away. I have to learn so many secrets in your small little brain.
Amazingly, there was a second Western, with everyone except Weng Weng in Mexican mustaches and sombreros.
Where's the man with the small boy?
Weng Weng and his mountainous sidekick Gordon head to Santa Monica to investigate the slaying of the mayor and his family.
If anyone leaves this town without my knowledge and permission, and anybody who dares go against my will surely die!
They find the evil governor firmly in control. Villages are burnt, townsfolk are lynched, goats and chickens are confused. Of course, there are very few gadgets in the Wild West, other than a Gatling gun. Stage left, a tribe of pygmy Indians. Those are waiters from Hobbit House in red face and war paint. Launch a counterattack amidst a sea of explosions. Oh, and let's not forget the ninjas. It's one of the most insane Filipino B endings. A micro-apocalypse now, and a Dadaist triumph for Nick Art's merry band of pranksters.
How did you let go of Weng Weng? How come he retired so early from movies? He's still very active then. All his movies are making money. What happened? Is it Bora who took him out of the showbiz?
Kaya wala sila, naano na eh. Kaya wala yung dalawa, nang babae si Pete. Then, kunsihal, ilang term, tatlong term eh. Kanila eh, siguro yun.
So yung maning ina-earn ni Weng Weng.
Kay Cora. Wala naman sahod si Weng Weng eh.
The producer is spendable. That's bad.
Director eh. Lahat. So, kung pabalihin ako, isang movie nga, baka hindi pa ako nakabali ng 20 mil o 10,000 eh.
In one
panahon na
movie?
yun.
In one movie? You're only receiving 20,000?
That's right. Kasi para naming magulang eh. Kasi,
You know, that's very sad. When
Bali-bali.
he enjoy his own money.
si Cora nasa Amerika.
Si Cora?
Si Pete. Hindi malaman. Kasi wala yun eh. Dati nasa Parañaque nakatira eh. Kung wala na raw doon eh. Kung nasa.
What kind of relationship did Weng Weng have with Peter? Was he like a father?
Like a father, but when she come to their house, Weng Weng, go in there, no? Like a dog. Visitors come. Weng Weng, go up. She didn't mind because, Weng Weng is very, like a boy. when you interview Cora, she told you that, oh, it's okay for me, it's okay. But the other people knows they are maltreated Wing Wing in their house. They earn money, but they did not give the share of Wing Wing.
Hey, look who's coming. Who's he? Isn't he cute?
Hey, minors are not allowed in here. Or maybe you can read the sign. Interpol, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know you're an adult.
Look at him.
For your height, make, I think, $1 million. They can have a mansion in Cainta. They have a 10 million or 15 million worth of mansion. Ay, alam ko naman kumita dahil minsan kasama ko rito, minsan sa mga hotel, nung nababayaran ng minsan, nagbabayaran sila, dollar. Nakikita ko, magbibilangan, cash, ha? Mga 100 to 200,000 dollars, ha?
Ang magulang ko naglalaba. Tapos, dito sa mga mantel ng Casa Marcos. Tapos ang tatay ko naman, electrician. Dito nagtatrabaho sa Santa Rita Church. Oh, bago namatay nga yung tatay ko, nahulog nga sa Quezon, yung kinamatay ng tatay ko eh. Ganun lang ang buhay namin. Sige lang. Ito lang kasi yung luma ang bahay namin, pawid. Pawid ang bahay namin, wala kaming gamit doon eh. Pumunta ka nga sa lutuan natin, sa Batalan. Nakabaksak na nga yung ano nun eh, yung pinakasahig. Kasi natatakot din ng mga kapitbahay eh. Kasi nung baka malagyan ng tipis ng sigarilyo, masimulan pa ng sunog yung pawid. Kami maliliit kami, sa side lang kami natutulog, wala kaming kama. Maliliit kami to. Ito yung tatay ko. Kasi ang nanay ko naman, walang tipis siya paglalabada eh. Ano na nakakakuha siya ng labada, yung mga mantul sa Casa Marcos noon. Yan, yun lang ang kinabuhay namin. Wala lang kami halimbawa, mataas at kagaralan para makawala. Dahil lang kahirapan talaga, hindi talaga kaya ng pag-aaral.
Their parents have no money to spend for the 5 children. So, they asked Caballes family to adopt Wing Wing as their wash boy or whatever, just to make Wing Wing survive.
Ang mami ko talaga, mag-artista siya o ano. Pero yung tungkol sa kung anong mangyayari o anong pinag-usapan nila, ang Picabilis, hindi namin kasi alam yun eh. Hindi pinaliliwanag kung paano ito, ano bang gagawin natin, ano bang kontrata natin. Wala sila pinag-uusapan gano'n eh. Nanay ko lang hindi kasi marunong nanay ko sa kasi.
Hindi siya nagtatanong na tungkol kay Cora Caballes na pinikula ba yung anak ko, paano ba? Wala siya tinatanong.
Pero hindi naman namin alam na magkakaroon siya ng hindi siya ang ano talaga, bida sa pelikula. Hindi namin alam yun. Sila lang ang nanay ko ang nagkausap-usap nun eh. Kaya ang si Esto, si Wing Wing, wala din kaalam-alam sa gano'n eh. Ba't ano? Hindi naman sila balak ng magkakita.
Mahilig lang siya sa manood ng TV.
Lang siya. Yung sabi niyo mag-a-artista siya, wala siya sa pangarap ng gano'n. Biglaan lang talagang dumating yung sikat kabi. Doon lang nangyari naging artista lang siya eh. Ito lang nga, napalaki siya, tagay din naman sa lalaki na eh.
As a matter of fact, the PC before the military, the PC, which is the police now, you know, they would use him for infiltrations, you know.
Squeezing into tight spots.
Yes, a small window, you know, go in, open up the main door. Yeah.
Cora Caballes is a relative of, during that time, the General Olivas, the one that next kin to President Marcos.
Kaya binigay siya ng protection ng dahil sininang Cora, kagano niya ang sa Malacanang, binigyan siyang authorization na maging secret agent talaga. Kaya yun, paglalakad niya, laging di baril yun. Baril lagi yun na senyorita. Live ba? Kaya hindi mo pwede biruin yun dahil puta ang baril nun, kumbaga sa Kaya hindi nga, yung ibang mga staff, hindi nga binibiro yun dahil baka biglang magkaroon ng problema, biglang mamaril. And that time, Mrs. Caballes bring Wing to Marcos, to Malacanang. And this Wing, the president lap and lap, especially the Bongbong, the son of Marcos. That's why they have a print. Then, sige, I make a Wing as an agent.
Ferdinand Marcos and his wife Imelda understood the seductive and transformative power of the moving image. During their 21-year reign, they built huge cultural edifices as monuments to their legacy. More than President and First Lady, they were Emperor and Empress, their names carved in large letters across the empire.
He got elected because of one movie. In the elections of 1965, one of his strategies to have a bio-film of his life made. Nothing controversial about it, actually. Just a regular melodrama acted by popular movie stars at the time. In the words of Imelda Marcos, this film was good for a few 100,000 illiterate votes. And indeed, in the elections of 1965, Marcos had edged Macapagal by a few 100,000 votes.
This is the period of Imelda. The whole philosophy of the cultural production at the time was very much anchored on the Imeldific, on her philosophies.
In 1982, the Marcoses mandated the Experimental Cinema of the Philippines, or ECP, a funding body and think tank, with the Marcoses' Western-minded and classically educated daughter Aimee installed as Director General.
My mother always had a very big interest in the arts. And funnily enough, reviewing my father's speeches, even his inauguration declarations and stuff like that, he talks about culture with a big and a little c very, very often, almost more often than he spoke about politics. In the end, I think it stems from a belief in my family that the Filipino competitive edge is actually his artistry, his soul, his determination, and greatness at performance.
Play it.
Listen to me, darling, my poor heart is aching.
Wayne was actually a guest at the palace.
Oh yeah, he was. He sure was. I do remember that everyone loved him dearly and thought he was just the sweetest thing. And that we spoke to him and tried to understand where all this special energy was coming from. But we did immediately fall in love with him like everyone else. He was adorable. He had a natural sweetness about him that made the goon characters that surrounded him and that he ultimately played infinitely ridiculous. It became so funny.
In hindsight, the Marcos administration was very supportive of the arts. To a certain extent, their support to the film industry was unrivaled.
It was a Marcos formula, Marcos with the iron fist and Imelda, the patron of the arts, working together.
I think that was the glory days of Philippine cinema during the martial law. My simple explanation is that during martial law there was no politics. There was nothing to talk about but movies.
I'm not willing to grant the Marcoses an inch, not a degree. But, they had a sense of their place in the world. So she knew that if she was going to make any kind of impact, she needed a cultural center. They needed a heart center. No, nothing. They just steal the money and that's it.
Now, everybody's realizing, oh, it's good we had Imelda who pushed the art and culture aspect of our country. Now we're suffering because there's no government help.
Hey, yeah, these are dictators' films, but now it's very difficult for a historian like me now to reassess what happened. You just cannot be synchronic anymore and think that, hey, you know, the political situation was so bad that we should condemn and burn these films. No, across time now, we just have to reassess and, hey, in fact, these are the only cultural artifacts that have been left behind. You really need to interview the icon of that period, and that should be Imelda Marcos. I mean, I think you should. Yeah. I can pass on her number.
Mrs. Marcos approved my visit, but only if I flew to Ilocos Norte, Ferdinand's home province, in the northwest tip of the Philippines, as she was celebrating her 83rd birthday. We immediately commandeered a jeepney for the 2-day visit and drove into the provincial capital Laoag in style, past the governor's building where Amy Marcos is now in residence, and onto our $8 a night hotel that resembled a birthday cake from a diabetic 6-year-old's worst nightmares.
Hello, Andrew speaking. We're less than 1 minute away. This is my criticist, Daniel, from Australia.
Thank you so much. Please sit down first.
It's a beautiful home.
It's an old home. You see, chandeliers are I get doggy. Here I am celebrating my 83rd birthday. What has kept me strong and still standing up, and that's because I'm at peace with the truth. You're at the side of the truth and God.
What do you remember about Wing Wing?
The appearance of Wing Wing showed the great Filipino spirit that they could make a hero of a disabled, distorted guy. So everybody had a chance. They had such a democratic attitude. The Filipinos have no prejudices. He entertained us. He was distorted, but he could make us laugh and make us happy. What a talent to have almost nothing and then to make people happy. I salute. So many people went to the movies here in the Philippines, but we were the second biggest movie producers in the world. And it was a big money maker. It was a very, very popular industry. Let me go to this reception first tonight. They're celebrating my birthday. And you can go join us in the reception there.
Why don't we look up the sky and fly? Fly with me so we can touch the stars.
Imelda made a grand entrance an hour later and introduced us to everyone as the press. Escorted past table after table of local dignitaries, imagine our shock to discover we were to be seated in the VIP section, just one table away from the Marcos family. And then the festivities began. A live band fronted by line-dancing hoochie mamas, Then came the spectacular dance numbers. At the end of the evening was an almost pagan ritual where each guest was invited to hand her a single red rose. She then whispered to me, "Let's do this again tomorrow." The next morning, we took to the sand dunes near Fort Ilocano. I was left wondering if anything would ever top that evening for sheer strangeness.
Oh, good morning. How are you? We would love to come. We're just getting in our jeepney now.
What did Marcos do with the strong power used for peace? At the height of the Cold War, he threatened the whole world.
Lunch was at her son Bong Bong's 5-star resort, a place so classy we each had a waiter to wave the flies off our food. It was then time for a personal guided tour of Ferdinand's home province from Imelda's bulletproof limousine bus.
Nationalist you will see we are in the center of the world, and we're in the center of the currents. This is the reason why Ferdinand Magellan landed here.
Covering the sides of the building are huge charts outlining Imelda's fascination with mysticism, the Philippines as the cosmic centre of the world, and the Marcos' role as the Filipino Adam and Eve.
I was cover of Newsweek, and the story was really Genghis Khan and Imelda Marcos of the list of least to his greediest. And they asked me, "Are you greedy?" I said, "For the culture and beautiful, I played greedy." How do you feel like being compared with Genghis Khan? I said, "I'm a history major. He was one of the greatest conquerors of mankind." But the crowns and the flowers.
The embalmed body of Ferdinand Marcos, still waiting for a state funeral after more than 20 years.
Imelda Marcos, at that time, was so supportive of the motion picture industry and the arts and culture. She even made approaches to buy out the American film market so that it be held here in the Philippines. That was not to be, so she then created her own Manila Film Festival and invited all of the well-known American film producers and distributors.
This was a huge, grandiose affair, and many stars were invited from all over the world. All expenses paid, their airfare, their hotels, 5-star hotels, and people like Brooke Shields, Franco Nero, Jeremy Irons, even Priscilla Presley was here. I couldn't believe it.
The festival showcased not only Filipino cinema and culture, but the glory of the Philippines under the Marcos regime.
It was like opium for the masses. Let's hold a glamorous event that would sanitize many other things of the regime. There were, of course, human rights violations, questions of martial law being constitutional. So, to that extent, it was successful in making MIFF one of the top festivals in Asia at that time.
Local industry bigwigs rubbed shoulders with international celebrities, and expectations were running high.
Suddenly the spotlight was focused on Philippine film. Even we discovered that the Philippine industry was the second largest in the world at the time. It was a revolution to all of us. We were just scurrying about doing our business and didn't quite realize how big it had become. The point really was that so many films were being made. Of course, that high of just under 300 films a year has never been achieved again.
The film festival all of a sudden had a reason for being because we were able to sell Filipino films.
Many grade A Filipino directors were there. And so movie insiders all thought the Philippines would make its mark through these talented grade A films and filmmakers.
At the film market, all these filmmakers came out with Filipino stories. Nobody bought them. But what did we sell? It was Weng Weng.
Of course, everyone passed out. We had begun to assume all kinds of artistic pretensions. And what we saw as very low budget, low humor, suddenly gets bought quite above all our rather self-important films.
At that festival, nobody was buying anything. And I said, this isn't right. Somebody's got to buy a Filipino film. Otherwise, this Filipino Film Festival would not have been what it was put here for. It would die. As fate would have it, I saw a poster that says, Wing Wing, for your height only. And I thought, this is a great gimmick. I'm going to go take this film, go back to my country, and promote this as James Bond for the kids, 007.5.
Oro Plata Mata, a big masterpiece, was not even sold. But that's why, people were beginning to talk about that what was sold was a Weng Weng film. And it sold big, And so, wow, are we doing our things right or wrong here,
Weng Weng was MIFF's unofficial mascot, making a daily appearance at the festival, performing push-ups on his thumbs and kissing foreign starlets before a startled press.
I didn't think much of him because he was an odd type of personality you don't take seriously. And by the time the festival finished, he became the first Filipino global star. People were not comfortable about that type of success. Remember, this is the 80s and we didn't have world-class Filipino boxers like Manny Pacquiao. We have this small actor to represent as an iconic image to Filipinos. Not too many people were comfortable with that. And so they grudgingly accepted that success as a fluke.
Would you say that the film industry was embarrassed by the film?
Yes, and I was happy about it. Very, very happy. I said, yeah!
My parents were determined to open the door to Filipino film. We may not have agreed with the final product, but we were certainly determined to open the door and to showcase it to the rest of the world. Why the rest of the world got it, I will never know.
I went to the office. I paid for the film in cash. You're going to fall off the chair. I paid $2,500 US for the film. In those days, the West Indies would pay for a big American film $10,000. So, for a Filipino film, $2,500 was considered a good price. I opened the film for Christmas, cinemas in Trinidad. I opened the film up against Raiders of the Lost Ark. I beat Raiders of the Lost Ark. day for day box office, I beat the picture. Why? Simple. It was a great gimmick.
Over and out.
It was faces and images that people had never seen. It was different. It appealed to the kids, and with the kids came the parents. It was a little James Bond.
For Your Height Only was sold all over the world. Asia, Europe, the Middle East, South America. It appeared as if the film world was at the collective feet of Weng Weng and his adopted parents. Most telling is an article from January 1982, in which Weng Weng's personal narrative was carefully shaped by Peter and Cora. Unknown to most fans, Caballas and his wife adopted Weng Weng 10 years ago to help him. They borrowed money heavily to finance my films, said Weng Weng. Now they may be able to meet our obligations. Weng Weng accompanied Lily's producers to the 1982 Cannes Film Festival, where further sales were made. Here, Weng Weng sits with part of the Philippines contingent. And finally, we have an image of the elusive Peter and Cora Caballas.
My ninong, Peter Caballas, is a frustrated actor. I can feel that. I can see in his eyes the glow that he wants to be a movie actor.
Any questions, gentlemen? No, sir.
After all these years, Peter Caballas was right there in front of me, playing one of Tony Ferrer's goons in For Your Height Only, living out his fantasy of being an actor.
Weng Weng was with Pete a lot of the time. I do remember meeting Pete in a hotel corridor in Los Angeles during an American film festival, and Cora had locked Pete and Weng Weng, who was with him, out of the suite because probably they were out late carousing. Pete kind of said to me quietly, "I'll take you out tonight. I know a few good girls with bad habits." Because Pete was a bit of a playboy.
My ninang goes to this show business because of my ninong. Why? Because Cora is the brain of the film making, not Peter. Cora is the brain.
She was a businesswoman at the time at the University of the Philippines when I held workshops, teaching people how to develop their scripts, how to write, how to pitch. My feeling was, what is this businesswoman doing in my class? And little did I realize that she would be the producer of Weng Weng Films.
She's also a scriptwriter as well.
Okay, there you go. So I'm sure the seminal idea comes from her, right? You're making me think right now of what was it that I may have shown to them. I'm very much into Federico Fellini, and Werner Herzog, and even Dwarf Started Small, all this really grotesque, and I don't know what it was. You're making me remember now. I mean, who would have thought that she would discover Weng Weng, then subvert the whole idea of the gangster genre, and you never know.
Hello? Now, listen carefully. This is important.
Cora Caballas is a bright woman. She saw something to Weng Weng. She saw Weng Weng has a potential.
When you're dealing in movies, even when you're producing a movie, the actors and the actresses are merchandise. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. They're what sells the picture for you. And Weng Weng was a very good piece of merchandise.
In an article entitled "The Man-Child Who Made $200,000 at the Film Fest," Cora says, his devotion to the Santo Niño is remarkable. Weng Weng confides that he has a sort of communication with the image and sees a vision of the child in a red cape when I pray at around 5:30 or 6 in the evening. When he wants to contract all his muscles to harden his body like steel, he concentrates and calls on the Niño to come in. At this state, Weng Weng becomes 10 times heavier than his normal weight. And in a country that venerates miraculous acts of faith, it's no surprise that Weng Weng was dressed as the Christ child figure at the head of Baclaran's yearly Santo Niño parade.
Yun, kaya doon binibisan sa Santo Niño. Marami nang natutuwa sa kanya eh. Akala ka talaga Santo Niño, nakikita lang lang, gumagalaw eh. Yung mga natin pa, yung mga gano'n.
Nanay niya?
Natutuwa eh. Natutuwa sa kanya kasi yung mga namin ko binibisan niya.
That was in full gold, golden boots, gold belt, the orb, and the scepter, and the huge Byzantine crown. It's religion made live.
There continues to be a very strong shtick in many of our stand-up comedians, saying that Filipinos have no superhero. We have no Superman or G.I. Joe or Batman and so on. And that in fact our superhero is the Santo Niño because almost every Filipino house has one. And that the globe and the scepter and the crown transform, as well as the cape, into some superhero magic. I think there perhaps was the sense that this translated into films made by Weng Weng in some extremely irreverent, hysterical way.
Kasi dati po, sinabi rin nila Pete Cabalias na in-adopt na nila si Weng Weng. Sinabi nila sa media na parang tunay nilang anak.
Hindi mo totoo na talaga in-adapt nila. Hindi totoo kasi kung may adoption, dapat may adoption paper. Wala, hinihiram lang talaga nila. Pag mag-shooting yun, magkasama sila natutulog sa bahay. Doon bakasyon lang siya, hindi naman talaga doon tumira. Gaya nung inabot ng stroke yan, dito talaga sa bahay. Magkakaroon ng hangin kasi, gagawin dito. Magkakaroon ng hangin dito.
Selling took us in his jeepney to the family home deep into the barangays of Baclaran, where Weng was born and spent most of his life in.
Ito yung dati, pero ito, binago ko na to eh. Ito diyan nakatayo. Yan, mga kapitbahay na yan. Nag-artista rin yan, kahit ba nagkakagawa ng pinipil. Ganun din, hindi naman. Eh, samantala, nung nag-artista yan, yung bahay namin, kubo. Nung namatay ang kubo rin ang bahay pa rin natin.
Although marami siyang ginawang pelikula, he died for no money, kahit na yung bahay niya, even his house, hindi niya napagawa. That's Weng Weng, and this is their house, the background. This Lipo hut is made of bamboo and wood, and old woods. Yeah, we're proud. Pero yun nga lang, nung nangyari yun, nalungkot din kami. I don't know kung sino yung yumaman. Meron yumaman, pero hindi ko sasabihin kung sino. Pero alam namin. You know what I'm talking? You know what I'm talking?
We've got to get them. We cannot let them get away with this. Billion pesos, partner! What are we going to do with the midget? Agent Double O? Simple. Throw him to the sharks.
You're a fantastic guy, really. I tell you, this guy has a shrewd mind.
Give my regards to the shark, Agent Double O.
Hindi, bato sinuli lang sa amin. Tapos wala na kami communication. Bato, ano na lang siya? Para pangkaraniwan na lang.
They stopped movie because Cora Caballeros was elected as a councilor in Manila. So they stopped produce.
Parang nagpatay ng bahay. Yung isa,
nagkaroon ng sila mag-asawa, nagkahiwalay, parang...
She told Pete to go and be a playboy in Hong Kong so as to avoid the embarrassment of having a playboy husband running around the time she was electioneering.
Cook something.
Hold it. I'm the boss here.
Okay, sir. But forget it. There's nothing to cook here.
Hindi na nga, bihira na nga siyang lumabas ng bahay. Andun na siya sa balkonahe. Punta ni si Weng sa kanami kung magkakasama sila. Ganun nga lang yun. Parang sabihin mo yung magano pa. Wala na. Andun na sila kapatid ko sa bahay nila.
Bahay nila siya kaupo lang sa terrace o ganyan.
Naglalaro sa harapan namin, naglalakad-lakad. Ganun na, parang pinagkakatuwa na lang doon siya. Ninauna si nanay ko tapos si Wenweg. Yung daddy nga nag-aaraka si Wenweg. Kasi nung bandang yung kapatid ko, meron silang kaibigan doon na nagtitinda na limango. Bagay hindi natin alam kung talaga dahil doon o...
Versus stroke.
Kasi kumain sila ng alimango ng gabi. Pagkatapos, yung nga, nahulog doon sa papag. Parang nagano siya. Ngayon naitakbo sa ospital. Ngayon yung pala yung nadali yung katawan, kalahati ng katawan. Nadali siya.
Gano'ng matagal siyang nag-bedridden?
Isang taon din mahigit siguro. Baka hindi lang Matambali wala lang. Nung nagkasakit siya, okay lang. Hindi naman kasi masyado napupunta na si Pete Cabillas na nung nagkasakit siya.
Not even talking. Just lying down there. That's a miserable life. He shouldn't have died that way, If not lavishly or pampered, but he should be at least immodest but real nice living. But he wasn't given the proper treatment that he really deserved.
Kapatid yan, binukod ko yan eh.
Solo si Weng doon.
Solo siya. Pero kasama ng nanay ko, sa tatay ko.
Selling's entire family lay here, watched over by a community that lives in and between the crypts, using the gravestones as washing lines.
Nahulog niya sa papag. Sa papag, nahulog. Nabalutan parang
Kulambo.
Ng kulambo. Hindi parang matigas na. Kasi kung nadala ko sa ospital, dumating sa ospital kasi patay na. Inawakan ko pa nga kamay niyan eh. Inawakan ko pa kamay ko. Wala na.
Karoon ba naman, contribute ba ng hospital na siya?
Yung namatay lang. Yung namatay lang siya.
Pero yung mga hospital, hindi sinabi. Yung burial, yun lang yung casket. Yun.
Kung hindi nga lang sinagot yung yung lipit Cabillas yung kabaong eh. Ay baka mamaya mga kapitbahay na nakalimutan. Kasi dati yung si Coram Cabillas. Tapos sinagot niya naman yung pinagano na, yung sa burial niya, sinagot naman.
My father, my mother.
Weng Weng passed away on 29th of August 1992. His death certificate lists the cause as cardiac arrest due to hypertension.
Pero wala kami sakit ng loob sa pasakal. Talagang ganun lahat, parang darating tayong lahat talaga doon. Talagang ganun talaga.
Kasi dadalahin din natin eh.
Talagang
Kaya
oras mo na talaga.
Hindi natin pwedeng anuhin yun.
The quest was at an end. Elated, exhausted, and deeply affected, I couldn't help but wonder, was Weng Weng ever really happy? I believe he was. And perhaps more importantly, he infected everyone within his reach with his childlike innocence. he transcended his limited form to become something indelible, incredible. The Impossible Kid.
Extraordinary. Unique in so many ways. A lot of people miss that small guy. Me too, I miss
You go into this world and it's not what you think it's going to be like. You know, there's some kind of system. There isn't. I think God really comes out in the middle of the night and touches you in the forehead and says, "You are chosen."
It makes perfect sense. This is exactly what Filipinos do. We transform our pain into ridicule and ultimately manageable in human terms. So I suppose we shrunk the good.
That's our dirty finger to Hollywood. We can do it. Here's our guy. No budget, piano wire, real stunts. No CGI. The freak came out. I am the guy. There was this artist in every director that wanted to say something about the culture, wanted to say something about being Filipino, wanted to say something about, how different we are.
Be a Filipino at the turn of the century was to be Spanish. Even that we have forgotten. 333 years of Spanish colonization, they totally decimated our connection with Asia. This is a mad, syncretic culture. There are always this return of the repressed, this spurts from underneath, this volcanic eruption of inner selves, the little dwarfs inside us. I love your. Now I can connect with your Weng Weng. Weng Weng was that dwarf within us. Oh, I can almost cry at this epiphany that yes, there are always this, oh, my hair stands on end. This eruptions from within, and Weng Weng was that eruption, a cultural eruption that made us realize once again that hey, there is something that you have repressed inside us. It's short. It's not this and that. It's brown, it's dark, it's curly haired, and hey, it's still here.
Mag-iisip ka, di ba pagkal sa sarili mo? Tawa ko ng tawa sa tabi. At si Wendy pala pag naging asawa, inisip ko lang yan, di ba?
Kailangan ko lang talaga namin tanungin kung nagkaroon ba siya ng girlfriend.
Sa pinikula lang. Pero sa tunay na babae, wala. Sa pinikula lang siya.
Agent Double O, hi! Oh, sweet little man. Nothing.
Interpol here. Hey, yo, we good to go? Hell yeah, it's Agent Double O. Don't want no trouble, those are your best. Put your weapon down slow. Keep your hands low down when he can see him. To put him up high, he's a tiny human being. Guaranteeing security to Filipino citizens. It's all the same thing to Weng Weng. Guilty, innocent, got his own style, he's got a cute little smile. Is that what I need
to watch? This film, which really couldn't have been possible without you and your lovely wife, because you guys have given this film the heart and soul